In this episode, we are lucky enough to speak with Drew Johnson, the owner of Coastal Comics in Surfside Beach, South Carolina. I was looking online on Facebook and I saw you had a post about someone who helped you start Coastal Comics. Is that when you decided to start, was with his help? And who was that?
You're probably talking about my father-in-law, Bill. He passed away about 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
He was one of the founding members. Yeah, it was my idea. You know, born and raised in this area. I've seen all the comic stores come and go. About a decade ago or so was when we opened up. We opened up December 2012, so just a little over 10 years in now. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of stores in the area. There was like one way up in North Myrtle Beach, and that might have been the only one at that time. So I had the idea, kind of was like, you know, saw the movies were getting popular. I was like, you know, this is probably a pretty good time to open a store. And I found like 3 or 4 huge collections. I'm talking like, you know, 30, 40,000 books.
Wow.
And I found them all within a couple months. Just kind of stumbled across them. And my father-in-law kind of had a little faith in me. He had a little money. He just retired from the state. And he's like, I got some money, you know, some funds we can start with. So that's kind of what I did, is he kind of helped start it. So it was me, my wife, and him. And I pretty much from day one have run it, you know, pretty much. My wife helped me the first few years, and then she went back to school. Got her MRI and X-ray, so she does that full time now. So it's literally just me. Like I said, he passed away about 1.5 years ago, so I wanted to give him props for, you know, helping us get started.
Is this like all consuming at times?
I mean, yeah and no. A lot of people that message me, Facebook. Some people have my phone number, so I get texts. People are like, I found a collection, I found this or that. Can you press it for me? Can you get it graded? They do a lot of grading, so I started pressing about 2 or 3 years ago. So a lot of people are like constantly, they find something they want. They're like, hey man, can you get this pressed for me and let's get it turned in.
What's your favorite thing about owning the store?
Not working for anybody. That's probably the main thing. I worked for the city of Myrtle Beach for about 15 years before I started this, and it's just really stressful, even though I worked in recreation. Putting up with parents and kids was real stressful, but you know, I mean, it gives me some freedom. You know, fortunately, you get a little backlash if you do need to close, but because it's just me, sometimes, like today, I was running a little bit late. But just when you're the only employee, just things happen, and sometimes you have to close early, get here late. You know, it just depends. You know, and you get some bad reviews here and there. People get butthurt because they show up and you're not there. I'm like, well, you know, I was here for like 50 hours the rest of the week. Where were you? You know what I mean? So I know that sounds kind of harsh, but you know, I am, most of the time, I'm 99% of my hours. If it says when I'm there, I'm open. I try to post signs and online and stuff and let people know ahead of time, hey, I got to close early today, or something came up, I got to get out of here. You know.
Yeah, I saw on Yelp, I mean, you have nothing but positive reviews, and that's great for your business, just to be able to have all that positivity.
Yeah, we appreciate all the reviews. You know, we don't get as many as we'd like, but I don't really push people to really read. If they really want to, that's up to them, you know, but we appreciate all the good ones we get, definitely. As a kid, I was hardcore into comics. Like, I started with baseball cards, like a lot of people did, I guess. I was born in '78, so, you know, mid-'80s, I was, you know, 8, 9, you know, 10, 11, 12, around the '90s, and that's when collecting really boomed, you know, but I was into baseball cards, and I don't know, one day I just picked up a comic book and I was like, man, this is way cooler than baseball cards, and it just kind of spiraled from there, you know. But luckily, when I started collecting, it was only like 65, 75 cents a book, so you could go to, you know, my dad might give me 15, 20 bucks, and I could go get almost 20 books or more for that, you know, whereas today, you know, kids don't have quite that luxury of being able to buy them that cheap, but, you know. So it was something that spiraled out to a big thing for me until about high school. Kind of put it on the back burner, you know, you get your license, girls, and you just kind of forget about it. And then another thing that happened to me that really kind of put me off of it for a while was my mom and dad went put all my stuff in storage, and somebody broke in and stole all of my stuff. I have none of my original stuff, nothing. I have nothing. So that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So what surprised you, or what were you not prepared for when you opened the store?
I don't know if anything surprised me. I will say that it shouldn't have surprised me, but people can be very fickle. If you don't have This leads into another question I know you have, but like you don't have what they're looking for. Oh, you don't have what I'm looking for. You're not a good store. Well, I've got like every other thing that you're not looking for, but surprised that people are a little bit petty on that kind of stuff. Like, you didn't have the statue I want, or you didn't have the issue I want. And like, I don't really cater toward manga. I go with what I know. And I know Silver Age, Golden Age, modern stuff. Comics is what I know. So comic and comic related. I never really got into watching anime or anything like that as a kid. So I do feel that backlash sometimes from that. So I'm a little surprised, but most people that are into the genre in general like a little bit of everything. So overall it's a positive experience. Don't get me wrong when I say that,
So what have you learned from being in here for this long? 12 years now.
Yeah. I would say,
well, not 12. Yeah.
Well, yeah, close enough. Yeah. Like officially it was like December 1st, I think, of 2012. So we were a little nervous because everybody's talking about the Mayan prophecies. They're like, we're going to open it. Let's get it in before the world ends. So, obviously we're fine, at least as far as we know, unless we're in the Matrix. But that's a whole nother podcast right there, right? What I've learned is you have to be adaptable. When we first opened, I actually kind of felt like people wanted more toys and stuff like that, so we tried to display more toys, and I kind of figured out as it went that it's like, no, they want to see the comics. And if stuff's hiding in a bin, sometimes people dig a little bit, but they don't feel like digging for hours. So you have to put the good stuff up on the walls. And I know it's kind of a small thing, but a lot of stores you go into, they don't really have like the visual, and that's what I really figured out was like, comics is not only collectability, it's art too. And I think getting that stuff in your face, like really, lets people know, you know what? I remember having that Wolverine when I was a kid or something. Like, I want that,
What kind of merchandise sells best? Statues or action figures, the toys, or does it really depend on the pop culture at the time?
It ebbs and flows. I don't do as much with the figures as some stores you go into. They are just line the walls with the Funkos. I've expanded that a little bit. I would say as far as non-comics, I probably sell more Funko Pops than anything. And it's because they have a wide appeal, because they make everything into a Funko. Like everything from sports athletes to rock stars to every movie or TV show, so I kind of fell down a rabbit hole a little bit with those myself, because they just come out with some cool ones, like, oh, Step Brothers, I gotta have those, you know what I mean? So I would say as far as merchandise, that's the best thing I sell, other than, my main forte is the actual comics, but we have a pretty good split of new and old. A lot of stores are strictly new stuff and maybe have a little bit of old. We do a little bit of all of it, so that's pretty,
Really cool. What did you read growing up, comic-wise?
Everything. I shouldn't say, I didn't read a lot of indie stuff. Wish I had had the foresight to pick up Ninja Turtles and stuff when I was a kid, because, man, they're worth a fortune now. I read pretty much all the Batman titles, all the Superman titles. I was really hardcore into it when they did the Death of Superman and broke the Batman back. And then, reading Infinity Gauntlet as a kid was awesome. But I gravitated, I like more Marvel, but I read a little bit of everything. So I was pretty, I guess well prepared, well versed to open a comic store, because I knew a lot of backgrounds of most of the main characters that people would ask about.
Do you have a particular fictional character, either from comics, movies, or TV, that you think is like your favorite to
I always gravitated toward the Fantastic Four, and that's kind of my dad's fault, because he really liked them as a kid. My father actually had Fantastic Four 1 as a kid. Had no clue what happened to it, but he kept talking about them, and I started reading those, so that was probably the one I followed the most religiously. But I like everything. Everybody likes Batman, so I like Batman. I like Superman. Of course, Spider-Man, Wolverine. Hulk.
Of the two movies, which one would you prefer? Or not two movies, but the two Fantastic Fours. Which one would you prefer?
If you're gonna make me choose, the first two movies are far superior. I didn't even watch I've seen clips. I didn't even want to see the last one, because I heard that what's his name, Josh Trank or whatever, was like, I'm not going to use the comics as reference. And at that point, you're just like, what's the point of, you're not catering toward the fans at that point, so why I'm not going to cater toward you either.
What's your favorite piece that's in your own collection?
Recent edition about a year and a half ago. Not even a year and a half. I got an Amazing Fantasy 15. First Mary Spider-Man.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my pride and joy. And then I would say number 2, I actually have Amazing Fantasy 15, Amazing Spider-Man 1, and I have Spider-Man 1 through about 15. So I have all the first major issues of the Spider-Man franchise. I have a Hulk 181 that's high grade with 5 signatures, and 4 of the guys unfortunately are passed away now, so you can't even replicate that.
That's amazing.
You know, but you know, as a store owner, you can't be a collector and a store guy, but you have to look at it like, you know, there's certain things that are almost like an investment grade, like stocks. I mean, Amazing Fantasy 15 is one of the most sought after comic books in history, so it's not going to cool off anytime soon. Even if you get ebbs and flows and ups and downs in the value, over time that one book's trending way up. So, you know, I'm not saying if a guy came in and said, hey, look, I got 50 grand in my pocket, I want an AF-15, you know, I wouldn't let it go. But for now, it's just kind of a hold on to it, and we'll see what it does.
Yeah, when it's your own collection, I think it's more like you don't really want to let it go. It's because it's yours.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I recently had, at one point I had Spider-Man 1 through 100. And I had every major key after that as far as the Amazings.
Yeah.
And a couple years ago, we sold everything but the first 15. And at the time, I actually had 2 number 1s. And I ended up selling one of the number 1s too. But decided to keep the first 15. That's all your major characters are introduced in that first 15 issues.
Oh, man. What notable people have you got to meet in this industry?
I met Stan Lee. I met so many people. I've met Herb Trimpe, George Perez, Neil Adams, Tom Fleming. Using the Walls reference, I've met so many people. I met some actors. I met Adam West, Burt Ward, Lou Ferrigno, Billy West does a ton of animated voices. Michael Rooker, Anthony Michael Hall. I've seen Norma Reedus, and I forgot her name that plays Michonne. I've seen the whole cast of Walking Dead in one spot, except for Andrew Lincoln. We were there actually to meet some other people, and I didn't realize the whole Walking
Walker
Dead.
Stalker?
No, that was at Dragon Con. And Dragon Con's really underrated for celebrity appearances. And what's cool about Dragon Con, and it might have changed, I haven't been there in a few years, is a ton of comic creators show up too, but everybody's there for celebrities. So you can go like meet all these comic creators, don't even have to wait in line hardly. So I've met tons of people, a lot of musicians and stuff too, like kind of gravitate toward comic books. So you meet some musicians at some of these shows too. So kind of crazy.
How many cons do you end up doing?
I don't really do any like on a regular basis. I've been to 1,800. No, not really. I've probably been to a few dozen, over the years.
San Diego?
I haven't been to San Diego. heroscon in Charlotte is probably one of my more favorites.
Hey man, I really want to appreciate it. Thank you so much for letting us come in and take a look. And,
anytime.
You have a great store.
Appreciate
How
it.
can people get a hold of you or get in contact with you if they want to come here, or if they want to buy anything, get a pressing or anything?
Yeah, easy stuff. Email. Our email is really easy. It's just coastalcomics@hotmail.com. And yes, we have a Hotmail account. Our regular landline, that if anyone still does that. Facebook, Instagram. I hadn't really gotten into the whole Twitter thing, but Facebook and Instagram. A lot of people hit me up. IM message me on there, or just look me up in the phone book and come down, and here I am. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.